This topic is about scientific notation. Now, hopefully it's just going to be a review for you, and hopefully you've had it in math, but it's very important in science. Maybe that's why they call it scientific notation, and the reason we use it is because we don't want to write out and deal with very, very large numbers or very, very small numbers on paper. We shorten it with scientific notation. We make it easier to see. Because when we're dealing with very large numbers, such as if we have 0.000010, and then we're dealing with 0.00000005, it's really hard to deal with that if it's not in scientific notation. In science, we're dealing with very large numbers and very, very small numbers. For example, the diameter of a typical atomic nucleus is 1.6 times 10 to the minus 15th meters. Now, if we were to write that out, and unfortunately I stopped the electrons there when I put the pen up. If we look at the diameter of the sun, this is a really nice animated GIF. Out west we call it GIF. I hear people call it GIF out in Michigan. I don't know if that's a thing like calling soda pop or... Anyway, so we can watch this for a little bit, but as I put a pen on, it's going to stop it, which is unfortunate, but it's all right. Now, if we're just talking about the diameter of the sun, it's okay to say, yeah, the diameter of the sun is 1,392,000 kilometers. But if we're doing calculations with it, it's better that we put it in scientific notation. Now, how we do that is we put a decimal point after the first number, then write the rest of the non-zero numbers, and then we multiply it by a power of 10. What power of 10 it is, we take a decimal point here, we 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 10 to the power of 6. If we go to the left, we add LA. Okay, so that's kilometers. The mass of a proton is this incredibly small number, but it's a lot of numbers, and you don't really want to say that, and especially when you're dealing with calculations. You're not going to just put this in a calculator. You're not going to just write all this number down. It's much easier with scientific notation. How do we put this in scientific notation? Well, we go to the number after the first non-zero, put a decimal point there, and then we, from the decimal place, we see how much we have to travel to get back to this decimal point, the new decimal place. So we start here, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. So that's going to be 1.673 times 10 to the minus 26 kilograms for the mass of a proton. That's very light. Since we went to the right, we use a subtract sign. So if you go to the left, you use an addition sign. If you go to the right, you use a subtraction sign. Minus, plus, for your exponent. So Lars, remember Lars. I had a friend, Lars, who was really good at scientific notation. That's actually what he loved to do with his spare time, scientific notation. The speed of light is 298 million meters per second. If I want to write that down in scientific notation, I'm going to assume there's a decimal point there, and that's where we start, and we're going to end up here after the first digit, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is going to be 2.98 times 10 to the 8th meters per second. Our friend Lars, we went to the left here, so we use the addition sign. And you don't really have to say, if it's positive, you don't have to say +8. Now we're going to look at scientific notation on your calculator. It's extremely important you know how to use scientific notation on your calculator and how to plug things in, because if you don't, they're going to go downhill fast. Okay, the key to using scientific notation on your calculator is the E key. Double E. So let's find the E key. Here we have the E key right in this area, right above the 7. It's a second function. Now I have a TI-85 that actually it's the first function, but here is a double E key. Now double E in calculator talk just means a power of 10, or times 10 to some power. Now you might have E or double E. Okay, so let's try putting that on our calculator. Let's write 5E3. So we go down to the 5 here, 5. Now what we're going to do is go up to the second function, second, then we do that double E. It just says E. Even though the calculator says double E, it's just going to come out E. And we don't have to put times 10 to the third. We can just put 3. And we put enter, and voila, 5,000. So keys you don't want to use, don't use the caret key. So the caret key is over here. Don't use that. Don't say something like 5 times, and then put in 10, and then put in a caret, and then put in the number, ixnay. Don't do that. Because when you get into, it might work once just for that, but when you get into big calculations, stoichiometry, it'll be a nightmare. Because then you're going to have to put parentheses and all sorts of weird things. And it's too difficult, it takes too long. And really, the main reason not to do it is because there's going to be a mistake there, and something's going to go wrong with your answer. Also, don't use the 10 to the power key. 10 to the power key is right here. Don't use that. So don't plug in 10 to the power and then put in some number, and then you're going to have parentheses and all sorts of stuff. Things will go wrong. Use the E key. Or in some calculators, it's exponent key. Okay, so make sure you see an E. It's easy. It's very easy. If you just plug things in. All you have to do is put a number in, put the E, and then another number, and you have it. So let's look at an example. So let's say I want to write 1.2 times 10 to the 17th. So instead of doing 1.2 times 10 power blah blah blah, or with carets or parentheses, all we have to do is go 1.2 second function EE 17. We got it. Easy. How about another one? Let's do a negative exponent. How about 3.5 times 10 to the minus 4th? Okay, you just plug it in, 3.5, second function double E, and we use a little negative. Don't use the subtraction, use this little negative. 4, enter, there we have it. So the E, of course, means power of 10. What about another one? All right, this is easy with the E, 3.782. Second function, double E. Use that little subtraction sign there. 34. Enter. We have it. Now you might think, well, I can just do that with the power of 10 or the exponent. But when we get into calculations, we'll see right now, it becomes much more tricky. Now, if you do your normal way or do the typical way of putting parentheses and exponents and powers of 10, and it's going to be somewhat of a mess. So we're going to just write it as in the computer. This is times 10, so it's just e to the negative 2. divided by 3.2 e to the negative 4. Okay, that's how we're going to put it in the calculator. So we're just going to say 1.5 second function e to the little negative 2 there, and then we just go divided by 3.2 second function e, little negative 4, hit enter, and we have our answer. Now, if you were to do this with parentheses and exponents, it would take a long time. It would just be crazy. So the e is just a great term, great key to use. You can just go ahead and type it in. Let's say if we have 1.5 times 10 to the minus 5 multiplied by 3.8 times 10 to the 6 divided by 3.9 times 10 to the minus 2. So put 1.5 second function e to the little negative 5. Whoops, that didn't work out. To the little negative 5 multiplied by 3.8 second function e 6 divided by 3.9 second function e little minus 2, and we have it. So instead of putting all these crazy parentheses in, you'll see that the e key is cool, it's hip, it's the bomb, it's your friend.